Hello, gentlemen. Welcome back. I hope you all had a really nice Christmas and are ready to get stuck straight back into your work. Today, we're going to be looking at a brand new topic. We are moving on now onto Hinduism. Some of you may already be familiar with some aspects of this religion, but don't worry if you have never done it before, never heard of it, because we are going to be starting from the very beginning, looking at the basics. So, first thing we need to do is, can everybody create a Google document for today's lesson? Just as you would if we were in class, can you make sure that you have a date and a title? So the title is going to be Introduction to Hinduism, and then your date is the 5th of the 1st, 2021. So can everybody just give this video a pause and go create that Google document? Reasons why I'm getting you to open a Google Docs is because you are going to take notes throughout the PowerPoints, and I'll be getting you to pause as well throughout just to complete certain tasks. You will get an assignment to do at the end of the PowerPoint, and you're going to submit your work on the assignment tab in the classroom. You should spend in total, by the time you're finished listening to this video and doing your own task, about 45 minutes. So our structure for today is, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at what type of religion is it. So we're going to look at, is it monotheistic, is it polytheistic? Remember, monotheistic, mono meaning one, means that there is a belief in one God. So Christianity, Judaism. Then poly, which means many, is the belief in many different gods. Then we're going to move on, look at the origins. So when did Hinduism begin? We're going to look at some key facts. Then we're going to watch a really interesting video where we're going to meet two young Hindus. We're going to answer some questions on that afterwards, and then you are going to do your independent task. Okay, let's begin by looking at some of these images that are associated with Hinduism. Have a look at these, analyze them for a second, and see if there's any that you can recognize. So I'm just going to talk you through a few of them. So the first one, most obvious one kind of there, would be the map of India and the flag. So reasons for that is because India is where Hinduism actually originates from, and it's actually where 90% of Hindus still live today. It's the only country in the world where Hindus are still the majority religion. Second one, if you look in the left hand corner, is a really famous building. I'm sure some of you can recognize it, known as the Taj Mahal. This is located in India, and it holds great significance, not just for Hindus, but for Muslims too, because it was a Muslim emperor at the time who commissioned its building, and millions of people from around the world today still travel to go see it. Underneath that then, you have just a cartoon character there of a man playing cricket. This one might actually be a surprising fact, but cricket is the most popular sport in India after the British brought it over in like the 1700s. Then we'll just look at one more. Underneath that, you can see the image of, it looks like a man meditating. He is actually doing a very specific pose known as the lotus position. Lotus like the flower. It's called the lotus because the legs are supposed to resemble like lotus petals. It's a really prominent way to pray and meditate in Hinduism that we're going to look at in a little bit more detail in later lessons. The other images is when we start to look at the deities, the gods, so we're not going to worry too much about them now. They will come up a little bit in the next lesson. So, some facts. Hinduism is the world's oldest religion. It's estimated that it dates back to about 4,000 years ago. So even older than Judaism. There are about 90 million Hindus. Like I said, the majority of them being in India, but they are spread out all around the world. We are going to be looking at a map in the next slides. Also, it's the third largest religion in the world, just behind Christianity, Islam. So it goes Christianity, Islam, and then Hinduism. So just have a little analyze of the map there to see where the different concentrations are of percentage of Hindus around the world. Majority of them being in India. You can see there is 25 to 49 in the UAE as well, and then also in Bhutan and Nepal. So let's first look at its origins, because this is what really makes Hinduism unique from all other religions that we've looked at so far. Because can be quite controversial as well, because scholars often debate its origins, because there is no founder as such of Hinduism, which is quite different to Christianity and to the prophets of Judaism and Islam, where there's often a lot of emphasis and importance on like the founders and the prophets. So yeah, nobody knows how or kind of cares to know who started Hinduism, because that's not really the main concern for them. That's why sometimes it's referred to a way of life rather than a religion. Because instead of having one definitive start, it's like a compilation of many different traditions that build up over time. It really changed throughout the years, and it's still changing now. So it really did just emerge gradually, and this is why I describe it here as a fusion of various beliefs. So a coming together of different beliefs and different traditions. So what type of religion is Hinduism? So I'm going to compare it to the Abrahamic religion. So remember, Abrahamic religions are religions that developed from the prophet Abraham. Can everybody pause their video, go onto their Word doc, and try remember and list the three major Abrahamic religions? So hopefully you got those correct. So the Abrahamic religions, you have Judaism, Christianity, and you have Islam. Judaism being the first, Christianity holds Abraham as a prophet, and also Islam holds Jesus and Abraham as a really important prophet too. Then you have the Dharmic religions. This is where Hinduism falls into this category. Dharma is a word that's not very easy translated into English, but it kind of means the path of righteousness. Righteousness, if you remember, we had this in previous lessons, is to be morally right or to be morally good. So you have Hinduism, you have Buddhism, and you have a newer religion, Sikhism. They all kind of focus on the same things, such as the universe and the righteous path, just in different variations, and they all originate from India, so the same part of the world. So the world religions can kind of be divided into Eastern and Western, Western being the Abrahamic, and then Eastern being the Dharmic religions. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to watch the video where we're going to meet two young Hindus. All you really need to do for this is just watch along, and then the questions are going to be on the next slide.
Let's get to it. Hi, I'm Simran, and this is my brother Raj.
Yo, what's up, guys?
I'm 14 and my religion is Hinduism.
There you go. Done.
My hobbies are music and photography.
Smile.
I also love playing with my brother. Raj is 11 and his favorite hobby is taekwondo. We're vegetarian.
This food looks a bit tasty.
It's a big part of being Hindu. We believe God exists in everything, so it's important to respect all living things.
It's really fun being vegetarian because all those dishes, they're so tasty and the spices are nice.
With dinner, we're having pani puri.
You dip it in the mint, then you get some amli, and then
you give it to your sister to eat.
Hindus believe life is a cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, and every action we make has an effect, called karma. This means how I live now will impact how I live in my next life on earth. If I'm really good, I hope to be freed from the cycle of rebirth and become one with God. Hindus believe in one God, who exists in everything. It's quite confusing. To help us understand, names, images, and qualities are given to millions of gods and goddesses. This makes it easier for me to think about God and helps me focus during worship.
Okay, so if you need to, you can go back and rewind and watch that video again. But here is the 2 questions that I'd like you to answer. So, why are the majority of Hindus vegetarian? What's the reason for it? And do you think, from watching this video, is this a mono or polytheistic religion? So pause the video and get started on those 2 questions on your Word document. Okay, so why are they vegetarians? I'm going to quickly just run through the answer for this one. So it's not a requirement that they don't eat meat. That's mainly because Hinduism doesn't have a very forbidding tone. It's not about if you do this, you'll go to hell. If you do this, you'll go to heaven. Hinduism is very much a religion that just makes you aware of the consequences of your actions. So, for this reason, many Hindus will not eat meat because, like the young Hindu said in the video, they believe that God is present in all things. So, they'll minimize trying to hurt other life forms. And also, Hindus believe in non-violence. Does anybody remember what the key word is for that? Just have a little think about that for a second. Of course, it's pacifism. And do you remember the really famous pacifists that we learned about? Mahatma Gandhi, he was also a Hindu. Key quote there that you would have had in your exam, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. Okay, second question. It is polytheistic, and let me tell you why. So God in Hinduism is not limited to kind of one founder. There are many different forms of God. In fact, there's actually millions of forms of God in Hinduism. Some put in the figure estimated at about 300 million different forms of God. So Hindus believe that there is only one God called Brahman, but he takes many different forms. So just like no 2 people are exactly the same, and there's millions of species of life, and there's endless stars and galaxies, the vast array of god and goddesses in Hinduism is supposed to represent the nature of divinity. So God doesn't just possess a few qualities, he's endless qualities and attributes. This is the reason why there can be characterized as millions of different gods. So the 3 main gods of Hinduism are Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. So can everybody just pause the video, go back to their document and take these 3 down. We're not going to go into too much detail in this lesson because that's what we're going to do in the next lesson, but you are going to research one of these deities for your task. So give the video a pause and take those 3 down. Keyword that you need to know is deity, which means a god or a goddess in Hinduism. Again, can you pause the video, go down and take down that keyword onto your Word document. Okay, so before I explain your task that you're going to do, just a summary of today's lesson, so the key takeaways. Firstly, main thing that you really need to know is that Hinduism, oldest religion in the world. Have a think, how many thousands of years ago did we say at the start of the lesson? Approximately about 4,000 years ago. There's no founder. It's a religion that developed over time. A series of traditions collaborated and came together. That's why sometimes it's referred to as a way of life rather than a religion. It's a Brahmic religion, comes from India. Many of them are vegetarian because they believe that God is present in all life forms. They believe in the universe, and it's a polytheistic religion because it believes in different variations of God in the form of deities. Okay, now I'm just going to explain what your independent work is. So because our next lesson we are going to be looking at the 3 gods in more detail, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, you are going to pick one of these deities and you are going to go off and you're going to do your own research before the next lesson. So you can pick any of them. But what you really need to be looking for, and you're going to be writing this on the Google Doc that we had in today's lesson, you need to be able to say what its function is, what the deity's key principle is, some key facts and the background story to this deity, and then try include a picture as well. I am going to leave some links as well for some useful websites that will help you in your research. When you are submitting your assignment, make sure that you're doing it on the assignment bar in the Google Classroom. That is all for today. Now that we have the basics of Hinduism down, we're going to look next lesson, we're going to look at more detail at the gods.